Hey Siri, has science buried the belief about God?
Hi everybody, I have a question for you. What is something that everyone has? Some people don't even know that they have it, but it significantly impacts your overall quality of life. Give up? We're talking about worldview. What's your worldview? It's a set of beliefs about the big questions of life that serves as a framework for how you view and interpret life. So what are these big questions? Questions like, is there a God? Why am I here? What's right and what is wrong? Where am I going? What is even real? There are three categories of worldviews, all of which concern the question of God's existence. There is Theism, which says that God is eternal and that the universe is finite. Then there is Pantheism, which says that God and the universe are eternal. And finally, there's Atheism, which says that God doesn't exist and the universe is eternal. Now, all worldviews are not equal. Let me tell you about three things that validate a worldview. Number one, a worldview has to be logically consistent. That just means that its teachings cannot be self-contradictory. Not only that, a worldview also has to be empirically adequate, which simply means that its teachings have to match what we see in reality. And finally, a worldview has to be existentially relevant. Its teachings must speak directly to how people live their lives. Earlier, we mentioned the questions that formulate a worldview. If a worldview doesn't adequately address those questions, it's not considered valid. So a worldview has to address the question of origins. Where did the universe and human beings come from? Meaning, what is the meaning or purpose of life? It has to address morality. How do we know what's right and what is wrong? It has to address destiny. What happens after people die? Let's take a moment to examine these worldviews closer. Pantheism and atheism share a similar view of the universe. Let's examine some history on that. As far back as Aristotle, people believed in a static universe model. Essentially, the idea was that the universe was infinitely old, eternal, and constant. They didn't deny that new matter was being created, but the universe's overall density remained unchanged. Fred Hoyle coined this view of a static universe in 1948 as the steady state model. He famously said, "The universe as a whole is unchanging with time. There is no beginning, end, or fundamental difference between one part of the universe and another." Then along came a guy by the name of Albert Einstein. Einstein can be considered pivotal to modern cosmology, not because he wrote on it, but because his theory of relativity was instrumental in helping us understand this one crucial point, that the universe is expanding. Like all classically trained scientists, Einstein believed that the universe was static and eternal before 1917. But after his theory of relativity, after 1917, he was stuck. He was now faced with evidence that the universe was expanding. And if it was growing, then by logic, it could not have been eternal. Along came two scientists by the name of Roger Penrose and Stephen Hawking. They applied general relativity and took to look even further back, reasoning that if relativity is correct, the universe would have begun from a single point of an infinitesimally small, dense, and hot matter. A point where the laws of physics no longer apply, and they called this point the singularity. Now, two significant discoveries cemented the end of the steady-state theory of the universe. In 1929, Edwin Hubble observed that the wavelengths of light from distant galaxies were being stretched as they moved away from us. This phenomenon became known as redshift because the light was turning red as its wavelength was stretched, implying that the universe had a beginning, a crucial point in what would lead to the Big Bang Theory. The final blow to the steady state theory came with two more scientists, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson's 1965 discovery of something called cosmic microwave background radiation, also known as CMB. Think of CMB as the afterglow or the leftover heat from the event that created the universe. Its discovery provided strong empirical evidence that the universe had had a hot, dense origin. Now, here's something very interesting. The idea of the singularity and the Big Bang was not immediately accepted. See, many longtime adherents of the steady state theory felt that the philosophical and ideological parallels to a theistic view of origins were uncomfortable. The fact is that the term Big Bang was coined as a derogatory, mocking view of a non-static universe by Fred Hoyle in a BBC interview in 1949.
I don't believe in the Big Bang because there has been a theory rather well worked out of how the Big Bang is supposed to have happened. And it seems to me that it is not likely to be correct.
If you think about it, the Big Bang parallels theistic explanations of origins. Atheists and pantheists supported the Big Bang theory as it was the most viable explanation of origins of science devised to date. However, a closer examination reveals a few critical flaws worthy of our attention. First, the Big Bang theory relies on the idea that a quantum fluctuation was responsible for the Big Bang. Now, I don't really understand everything about what a quantum fluctuation is, but you don't have to be a scientist to ask the following question. Where did these quantum fluctuations come from? Critics of the Big Bang theory point out that this is just another pushback, also called infinite regress, where it pushes the question of origins just further back. Another challenge that the Big Bang theory faces is the differentiation between something and nothing. While science has generally accepted the idea of the Big Bang, there's a glaring hole in this argument of origins. A quantum vacuum is not nothing. It is something with the existing laws of physics at play. Even the singularity is also something. It's not nothing. So while the Big Bang explains some parts of the universe, it does not necessarily address the root issue. Where did this quantum vacuum or this singularity come from? Theism, pantheism, and atheism all view the origin question as a study of historical events. But surprisingly, the foundation upon which atheism and pantheism have explained our universe's origins lacks empirical evidence, and it contains significant logical, philosophical, and ideological inconsistencies. As a worldview, they fail because they have revised their position by modern science, but modern science still has not offered a compelling, rational, and consistent explanation of the origins of the universe. So in this regards, atheism and pantheism fail to be a viable worldview. Theism, on the other hand, looks at modern empirical science and agrees with the following points. Yes, there was a beginning to the universe. Yes, there was a cause in the beginning. Yes, the universe came from nothing. Now, I realize that science doesn't say it came from nothing. But when you describe the singularity, this infinitesimally small point, and if you want to do something interesting, scientists say that there's no such thing as infinity, only probable infinity, but we won't get into that. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed our video, please click like and subscribe. I'm IselashB, and I'll see you next time.